So, welcome everyone to Psalms for Life. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Esther Elagorovich, for sponsoring this class. It should be a merit and a source of bracha for her and her family. And this class is dedicated to the safety and protection of three Chayalim, Aden ben Tamar, Nir ben Nurit, and Yehuda ben Livnat. And at the end of the class, we will be saying Tehillim together, Mitzvah Shem, and you will have a chance to type in names of people you would like us to keep in mind as we say Tehillim together for Refuah Sheleimah or for any other reason at all. You are welcome to type in names at the end of class. So I also have some announcements, which I will do at the end of class as well. And they're important. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is that we are doing Psalm 45, which is a segula and a prayer for Mashiach to come. Very simple. And it's, this is an amazing song. And until I actually started really immersing myself in it, I don't think I had any idea how amazing this was. This psalm has a lot of commentary on it and a lot of ideas about what it's about. So Psalm 45 is said to be a song of praise for the sages of the Sanhedrin of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's also said to be a song of love for Torah scholars, for Talmidei Chachamim, and it compares them to Shoshanim, to roses. It's also a song of love to Hashem from Israel, from the Jewish people, and it's a song to arouse our inner love for Hashem, as well as a song to arouse Hashem's love for us. There's a lot going on in this chapter. Also, it's said to be a psalm of appreciation for Avraham Avinu and David HaMelech. It's also a song that inspires our love and yearning for Mashiach. When we say this psalm, it's a prayer for Mashiach, but it's also supposed to connect our hearts to yearn for Mashiach. It's easier today than any other time in our lifetime, I think, to yearn for Mashiach. And it's a song of Hashem's love for Mashiach. It's also considered to be a wedding song, a song of endearment, and a song of friendship. Normally, I don't jam everything in there, but I wanted you to get an idea of how powerful this parak is. Now, the previous psalm described our suffering in galut, in exile, and this psalm is a natural following on the last psalm because this psalm is describing and hinting to the coming of Mashiach. Okay, so we will begin. Lamanatseach al Shoshanim, Livnei Korach, Maskil Shir Yedidos. So for the conductor on the Shoshanim, by the sons of Korach, a Maskil Shir Yedidos. So this is for the conductor on the Shoshanim, which means a rose or roses, actually. And it's said to be hinting to this idea of a rose-shaped instrument, but also an idea of what is a rose. Okay, Torah scholars, the Jewish people, so on and so forth. By the sons of Korach, we've discussed that for the past several weeks. Maskil, we've also discussed that, a song of enlightenment or intellectual enlightenment. And a song of Yedidos, okay? So this really is a plural, okay? Yedid is like a beloved. Yedidos is for loves or endearments or beloveds. And it refers to many types of loves, as I mentioned in the introduction, which is why it is a plural. And as I went through the psalm, I found there were a lot of doubles here. So this is a double or a plural in places where usually there wouldn't be. Shoshanim also, okay, is another plural. So keep your ear out for them. I'm sure I missed some, okay? So keep your ear out. This is This is a psalm with almost like a puzzle embedded in it. So Israel is compared to a rose surrounded by thorns. And that's why it needs this psalm, says Rashi, and other prayers of protection. Okay. And as soon as I read this, I began to think of Shir HaShirim. Maybe you've got the gist that there's something in here connected to it. We'll talk about that later, but I wanted to also tell you to keep your ears out for that as well. You might also notice something that I don't notice. Okay, next verse, base. Rachash libi, davar tov, omer ani, ma'asai lemelech, lashoni et, sofer mahir. Okay, a stir, rachash, excited or astir is my heart with a good theme. I say my works are befit for a king. They're fit for a king. My tongue is a pen of a skillful scribe. So here, my heart is astir alludes to prophecy. Okay, so David or the sons of Korach might be talking about themselves. Okay, so this is a hint to prophecy. Rebbe Nachman tells us that when we hear heart, we be my heart, okay, should be reminded that Hashem wants the heart. We feel our thoughts and our feelings. Often we feel like, I wouldn't say victims, but sort of passively accepting our thoughts and feelings. Sort of they're just happening to us. No, Rabbi Nachman, Chovos HaLevavos, the Ramchal, everybody, just on and on, tells us that our thoughts and our feelings are in our control to a large measure. And if we train ourselves, then our thoughts and feelings, because our thoughts of the heart are kind of like a combination of thoughts and feelings, our thoughts and feelings will be aligned with Hashem and will be astir. Okay, rachash, excited with good theme, a good idea, good thoughts. Okay, we can guide and steer our thoughts. Now, we have to not just hear this intellectually, we have to try it. Mirz Hashem, I'll be doing, I haven't done it in a while, a couple of years, a workshop on the power of thought, or power of our thoughts, and how to improve and strengthen our thoughts. Hopefully I'll be doing that in the near future, please Hashem. Okay, so it says that this is befit for a king. So who is the king? So of course, Mashiach is the king, but also the tzaddikim amitim, the true tzaddikim and the true rabbis, the rabbanim, the true ones, okay? They're kings. And in Judaism, we know that we give a lot of honor and respect to Talmidei Chachamim, not just because they're knowledgeable, but because they're well-rounded. They should also be tzaddikim, okay? Very different than a secular, secular, let's say, teacher or scholar, professor. He can have very bad character, but he's considered a great teacher, so he's a great teacher. Okay, in Judaism, you have to have the whole package. Okay, so our tongues, it says our tongues are the pen of a skillful scribe. And this is a reminder to us that everything we say is recorded. Okay, not a pleasant thought, but everything we say is recorded up there. So we want to think before we speak. Okay, so we're going to continue. Gimel, verse 3. I finally found a way to see. I have to hold my glasses up in order to see, so excuse me. I'm just struggling seeing these to read. Okay. Yaf yafisa mibnei adam. Hutzak chen besif sosecha. Al kain berachecha Elohim olam. Okay. So you are more handsome than other men, or you are more beautiful than other men. Charm is poured into your lips. Therefore, Hashem blessed you for eternity. So Rashi says you are more beautiful than others. This is referring to Talmidei Chachamim again, who are immersed in Torah and good deeds. Okay. So Mashiach, of course, is the ultimate representation of this. He's beautiful inside and out, blessed for eternity. Now, the Kedushas Levi, Rav Levi Yitzchak Berdichev, God willing, will be returning soon to our tours of Ukraine. I don't know how that's going to happen. But I really miss taking women to Ukraine and to Uman, but we also stop at the gravesite of the holy Rav Levi Yitzchak. He says something really beautiful. He has said, he translates this as you have become beautiful from the sons of man, rather than you are more beautiful than other men. You have become beautiful because of the sons of man. This means a king must always remember that his majesty and sovereignty and right to rule only comes from his subjects. Okay. A king must be humble. In the Jewish world, again, we see the greatest people in the Jewish world are humble. If they're arrogant, their greatness isn't complete. Obviously, we all have things to work on. But we know that Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest Jew, was very, very humble. And we also know that, what else do we know? That Mashiach will also be very humble. And we see this, that the greater a person, the more humility they have in general. Okay. And he's also, this is a reminder to Hashem that Hashem is king. And we know that Hashem has a midah of humility, a midah of anivus. He has this quality where he gives us permission to make him king, to choose him as king. He can't rule us unless we crown him as king, which we do on Rosh Hashanah. Targum says that this charm and so on is the spirit of prophecy upon your lips, charm is poured into your lips, as I read, is Chain is referring to Mashiach, who will speak with Chain, will speak with grace and charm. And what else is charm is also sharing Torah knowledge with others. Those who share Torah knowledge with others is a kind of Chain, a kind of charm, a kind of grace. So share your Torah knowledge with others. Please go ahead and do so. And especially those who can make halachic rulings, because halacha is the basket that holds everything else. Okay. We can have all the knowledge in the world. We can be good people. But if we don't understand and connect to the structure of our Jewish guidelines and laws as best as we can, we should be learning this, then we have no vessel in which to support that, and we are missing a component of chayin, a component of grace and charm. Okay, let's continue. I hope you noticed that there were 2 doublings in here as well. Okay, I'll continue. Chagor harbecha al yarech gibor hodecha v'hadar recha. Okay. Gird your sword upon your thigh, O mighty warrior, your majesty and splendor. Your majesty and your splendor, your hod v'hadar. Okay. So Rebbe Nachman says that each of us has to be a mighty warrior against the Yetzer Hara. Now, it is true that we shouldn't focus on our Yetzer Hara. We shouldn't think about it too much. We shouldn't focus on all those negative things and say, how am I going to get rid of this? How am I going to get rid of this? How we are warriors, we just cut that stuff out and focus on the good. Okay, we turn our thoughts to good. there is a benefit to traditional Musar where you sit, you analyze your negative traits, and then you try to negate them. But I would say that benefit is limited in most cases, unless you're a particular kind of person. Really, we should be focused on building the good, and the bad will fall away of its own accord, God willing. Okay. So again, I mentioned that this shir connected me and reminded me of Shir HaShirim. And later I found out that this verse is similar to verse 3:8 of Shir HaShirim. All of them gripping the sword of tradition, skilled in the battle. It was referring to the battle of Torah and the battle against the Yetzer Hara. So there is some overlap here. The Radak says this sword actually refers to Mashiach's physical sword, his real sword with which he will fight battles. Will Mashiach fight battles with a real sword? Maybe, maybe not. Debate. Okay. By sword means a weapon. Malbim says in this case that we are referring to this idea of majesty and splendor, Hod V'Hadar. This Hod is a kind of splendor and majesty available in private, and splendor is a kind of majesty available in public. And therefore we should only ourselves show our charm, greatness, knowledge, and so on in public when we have established something, a pillar in private. Also, I was thinking about this. Everything, all these doublings, Yedidos, Yaf Yafisa, Hod V'Hadar. There's more. I'm not even mentioning them. I was thinking that perhaps, since this is a song, this is my own thought, a song of love and appreciation or prayer for Mashiach, perhaps this doubling hints to Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. That's, of course, a whole other conversation. But that's what came to me. Also, this Hod V'Hadar refers to Mashiach's conquering the world and bringing worldwide peace. Okay. Again, it might be hinting to Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. I don't have a commentary on that. It's just my own thoughts, so take it for what you will. Okay, we're going to continue with verse 5. Hey. Vahadarcha silach rechav al devar emes va'anava tzedek v'sorcha noraos yeminecha. And with splendor, and this is splendor, you will gain success and ride high on truth and righteous humility. Okay, emes ve'anava or anivas. May it guide you so that your right hand should perform awesome things. So the qualities of Mashiach, okay, are qualities that mirror the qualities of Hashem. Truth and humility, both necessary. Again, I said before about the character of someone with knowledge. Don't pay attention to anyone who isn't absolutely committed to both the truth of Torah and humility. Humility before Hashem, before the tzaddikim, for everyone. And of course, we have to be humble, of course, before everyone. Even a great Torah scholar and Mashiach has to be humble. Certainly we do as well. Rambam says that humility, Maimonides says that humility is the defining trait of a Jewish king. Amazing. Can you imagine thinking about kingship throughout the world? Think of the 70 nations. Think of any king. Okay. Any royalty today or in the past. What nation's king is defined by humility? Oh my goodness. Only the Jews. Okay, only the Jews. And in terms of truth, Mashiach is going to have a highly defined sense of smell, and he is going to be able to sniff out the truth. His smell is going to be kind of prophetic. I think that it is a real sense of smell, but that it's a combination of the physical and the spiritual sense. And we know that the sense of smell is really the most sublime sense in a way. Okay. Certainly we know from Havdalah, where we sniff the spices, and Yom Kippur when we're fasting, many have the custom to sniff the spices, besamim, and many also have the custom. I mean, they do it because we want to say the bracha. Okay, on Shabbos, on Shabbat, many people also smell besamim, sniff the spices on Friday nights. There's a lot of customs around this, but it's, yes, it is to say that bracha, so we have enough brachos for the day, but it's also because the smell stimulates our neshama. It revives our neshama. Doris says the glorious scent of the rose. Yes, also scent of the rose. That's a different bracha we say, but yes, it also, any scent, any sweet fragrance stimulates our neshama positively. But we have to make a bracha on it, the correct bracha on it. Okay. And if you want to know the correct brachos, the correct brachot on scents, it might be in the Art Scroll Siddur. Certainly it's online, and there's several. It's not just besamim, which is spices. There's a different one for flowers and so on, fruit, trees, and so on. Okay. I'm guilty of sometimes smelling something and not saying a bracha. I really have to memorize them all. Okay, let's continue to 6, to Vav. Okay. Chitzecha shenunim amim. Tachtecha yipelu belev oyevei hamelech. Okay. Your arrows are sharp or sharpened. Nations fall beneath you in the heart of the king's enemies. So in the merit of Torah learning, okay, our enemies will be defeated and fall beneath us. This is from Rashi. So we have to understand the emphasis. It's a psalm about Mashiach. There's so much emphasis and hints to the importance of Torah learning. Okay. So the idea is that our enemies fall when Jews learn Torah. Okay, now, yes, on the one hand, it's referring to the mitzvah of Torah learning for men, learning Gemara, Halacha, Kabbalah, Hasidus. Yes, it is referring to men, but we as women, we don't have the same mitzvah incumbent upon us, but we must learn. We must learn because we must know Torah. We must know how to live as Jews, and we must be inspired. So there's almost, we can learn anything that inspires us, plus halacha, of course, and we should learn the teachings of Rebbe Nachman. The Talmud says about this, when the voice of Yaakov, this is really important, is raised in Torah learning, the hands of Esav, of Edom, Esav, are subdued. So when Yaakov, when we know this principle, I've discussed it before, when Yaakov is up, Esav is down. And of course, Esav, it seems like Ishmael is our main enemy, but Esav is our main enemy. Okay. So despite current appearances. So we have to understand that we have to strengthen ourselves in this regard. One of the ways to strengthen ourselves is to support the learning of Torah, to make sure that other people can learn Torah too. Very important. Okay, now I'll just read you something interesting from the Barbanel. Says that Yerushalayim is currently in the hands of Yishmael. In a way, that's true. Certainly part of it is. But Edom, or Esav, is eventually going to attack, and Yishmael and Esav are going to fight over Yerushalayim. And the truth is, they've already been fighting over it, certainly politically, religiously. Now, this also says in the, let me just read my note here. Okay, in the heart of the king's enemies, I read a commentary, just Art Scroll Stom, so it must be from the Art Scroll editor, says that the beginning of the end is the passionate hatred in the hearts of the enemies. That is what leads to their downfall. So we have to listen to this, okay? What leads to the downfall of Yishmael, of Hamas, of Edom? Okay, what the UN, whatever it is, what leads to their downfall? Their own hatred and their own projection of that hatred. I've talked about this before. I talked about this last week. There's so much hatred inside them that they project out on the Jews. They accuse the Jews of what they themselves have done and are doing. And this is throughout our history, okay? Jews are capitalists, Jews are communists, Jews inveigle their way into our society, Jews are separate and shun us. This is a reflection of themselves, and their destruction begins with their own hatred in their own hearts, which is very good news for us, because that means, what does it mean? Their destruction has already begun, okay? I noticed a couple of people have signed in, by the way. If you have just signed in, please go back on YouTube and watch the beginning of this, because there's foundation laid for the rest of this psalm. Okay, let's continue. Okay, we're going to skip Zion. We're going to skip 7. We're going to go to 8 briefly. Ahavta tzedek v'tisna resha. Al kain mishachacha Elohim Elohecha. Shemen sason mechavarecha. Okay. Myrrh and you loved righteousness and you hated wickedness. Therefore, Hashem, your God, anointed you with shemen sason, oil of joy, mechavarecha, from among your peers. Okay, so Yalkut Shimoni says the oil itself rejoiced when it anointed David king. Okay, something about the oil. Okay, and there's a question about how Mashiach is going to be anointed, because he is the scion of the Davidic line. Does he need to be anointed? Most say yes, some say no. A lot of interesting debate for anyone who's interested. Okay, and I did say more, so we will do that verse more. More of ahalos kitzios kol bigdosecha min hechele shen mini simchucha. Okay, more is myrrh, aloes, and cassia, katsios, are the fragrance of all your garments, from palaces of shane, of ivory, from which those have gladdened you. Okay. Myrrh hints to the Torah scholars, okay, as we mentioned, so much sweetness is given to them, is seen in them. As in Shir Hashirim, again Shir Hashirim, verse 5:13, his lips are roses, they drip flowing myrrh. Okay. Rashi says this means literally all your garments are fragrant, Torah scholars and Mashiach. Rebbe Nachman, I wanted to bring this in. Rebbe Nachman teaches the importance of not wearing stained or torn clothing. We should wear clean, neat clothing. I'm not such an ironer, but it should be as neat as possible. Okay, as this reflects the state of our neshamas and our spiritual garments. Okay, what are our spiritual garments? Our spiritual garments are what we clothe ourselves in spiritually. That is mitzvot, the mitzvahs. Okay, the Talmud says that if a Torah scholar has a stain on his garment, he's not concerned about it. Doesn't care about a stain on his character, his neshama. Okay, going back to this whole picture idea of a Jewish scholar, a Jewish king, a Jew, period, inside and out. We have to have knowledge and work on our character. The palaces can refer to Gan Eden or Olam Haba, the world to come. Okay, we will continue. Excuse me, we are going to go, excuse me, Yud, verse 10. Benos Malachim, Bekirosecha, Nitzava Shegal, Limincha Bechesem Ophir. Beautiful verse. You have definitely heard this verse before. Okay. The daughters of kings will visit you. The queen will stand at your right, bedecked with golden jewelry of Ophir, the gold of Ophir. So you have heard this before. This is the verse that people use to speak about sniut, modesty. Okay, and the daughters of kings, and then it will continue. It will continue throughout here with hints to modesty. So we are the daughters of kings, okay, and we visit, we confer our visitation, and so on. And more verses will follow. I'll get to them. The Midrash teaches that Paro, the father of Hagar, and Avimelech gave their daughters to Abraham to be servants to him rather than princesses elsewhere. So the daughters of kings here can refer to non-Jews. Okay, and it might refer to non-Jews when Mashiach comes, they visit him, but the queen, the Jewish people, stands by his right side. Okay, Targum says that this actually refers to Sefer Torah that a king would wear on his right arm, his right side. Okay, they would wear a tiny Sefer Torah. That's certainly bound to increase a king's humility and respect for Torah. He's strapped with his Torah on him. And King Mashiach will also carry this to his arm. This is also called the queen. There are a lot of meanings of king and queen. So there are also a lot of Kabbalistic references here. Some of them were very difficult most of them were difficult for me to pinpoint, but I was thinking that the Binos Malachim, the princesses and daughters of the king, are the Shekhinah in general, refer to the Shekhinah in general. And the queen is referring to the Shabbos Kala, the Shabbat queen, or the Shabbat bride, which is the Shekhinah itself in its greatest manifestation, possibly. And this also, the Shekhinah visits the Mashiach, so to speak. Now, this also might be referring to the Spheros. I really was trying to figure out in the different partsufim, but it was just getting very detailed. So one day I'll sit down and map that out and I'll share it with you, God willing. Ophir, this is interesting. Just an interesting factoid for you. Ophir is a land of gold. Some say, many commentaries on this. Some say it's India. Some say Peru. Some say Arabia or Ethiopia, which is the most common one. And the Ben Ish Chai says it's Russia, which I find fascinating. Okay, we're going to continue. Shimi Vas Uri. Vahati Aznech Veshichi Amech Uves Avich. Okay, so here, daughter, see, incline your ear, forget your people and your father's house. So this actually is said to be telling the non-Jews to forget their people. And specifically, it might be a reference to the Kusim, the Samaritans, who reject the oral law. Okay, and still to this day, they reject it. They believe in the Torah, but they reject the oral law. Okay, if you have been with me in my Israel class, you will remember that they converted to Judaism, but they just left out how to be a Jew. Okay. The daughters also, says the Metzudas, David referred to the Gentiles who are encouraged to forget the wicked nations of Gog and Magog and to believe in one Hashem. Now, Rebbe Nachman, it says here, forget your people and your father's house. In Lech Lecha, Rebbe Nachman reminds us that Abraham was told to go from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's house. So this is quite amazing. Go from the land, and is the attachment to Gashmias, to materialism, and to material things of this world. As Rebbe Nachman says, take as little from this world as possible. Birthplace, to go from your birthplace, is our attachment to our sensual pleasures, our physical pleasures. It's so interesting because it immediately reminded me of sort of Freud's phases of an infant. They are not true. Okay, that's Freud. But there is a sense of these desires that an infant has, like certainly for feed, for oral desires to feed me, and so on and so forth. So that's a birthplace. And some people never grow up from that. They still let their physical desires rule them. And the Rebbe tells us depression comes from that, very much so. Okay, if you want to see the most depressed people on earth, look at people who are gourmands, okay, or who have an immoral addiction of some kind. Now, what is your father's house? So the Rebbe says that this literally means your father's house. People, family even, who try and stop you from Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha can be read as going to yourself. Who try and stop you from going to who you really are. Who are you? You're a neshama. You're connected to Hashem. You have a mission in this world to reveal the kavod of Hashem. You have a mission in this world to exercise your bechira, your free will, and choose good over evil. Okay. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, let's continue. Yud base 12. Excuse me. Vayisav hamelech yafyech, kihu Adonaich, v'hishtachavi lo. Okay. Then the king will desire your beauty, for he is your Lord, he is your master. So submit to him. Rashi says if you follow the directions from the previous verses, we had a lot of instruction there, okay? Then Hashem will yearn for the beauty of your mitzvahs and good deeds. Hashem will desire your mitzvahs. We talked last week about the upper arm, the good deeds that we do, the mitzvahs that we do, the learning that we do gives power to Hashem's hand. But also we have to remember not only that, but Hashem desires this, okay? He desires this out of love, okay? He doesn't need us to do anything. He wants us to, because why? It makes us beautiful. That's what we're here for. Okay, the Metzudas Zion says, the king shall desire your beauty. This is actually a message to the nations, to the non-Jews. Okay, so you can take it either way. The non-Jews who follow his commands, and Mashiach will act as their guardian and protector. Okay, the Noahites, who Mashiach comes, are going to be a lot of people in this world who are going to wake up and follow the Torah that's appropriate for them as non-Jews. Okay. Rabbi Tovia Singer says something. I was asked to do a video about Christian missionaries, which I did a short video, and it was from somebody who's working with Rabbi Singer, and I was listening to some of his videos, and I listened to him many years ago, and I really appreciate him. And he said that a Noahide, he doesn't like the term, a non-Jew follows Torah, the Torah that's appropriate for him. Obviously, non-Jew isn't going to keep Shabbat. He's not allowed to. But a non-Jew who follows the Torah that's appropriate has the faith of Judaism. He's following the Jewish religion, but he's not of the Jewish people. But he has a very special role, and it's a very great thing in this world. and very rare and very great. And we know that these Noahide communities have been building over the years. It's really quite amazing that we see this. And it's very beautiful, and of course, they're very supportive of the Jewish people. Okay, we're going to continue with Yud Gimel. Okay. Uvas tsor b'mincha panai yechalu shire and the daughter of Tsur, which is, I guess, Tyre. I don't know quite how to pronounce that in English. Tsur in English is Tyre. It's an ancient land. With gifts, your favor has been sought by the wealthiest of the nations. They shall actually seek your presence with gifts, with tributes, the rich people. Okay. So Tsur is referring to Edom, who will pay homage and tribute to Mashiach, to the Jewish people. Rashi says that this is a lesson to us, that a person immersed in Torah, a Torah scholar, disseminator of Torah, shouldn't need to seek financial aid from the wealthy, who are symbolized by Tyre, by Edom, because Edom is the wealthiest today. Okay, just take a peek at the Catholic Church, okay, or the royal family of England, wealthy, wealthy, wealthy. Okay, so they symbolize the rich among us, the wealthy among us. He says that the rich should view it and will view it in the future as a privilege to support those immersed in Torah, and will even seek them out. Now, I was just having this conversation this week. I didn't, it's just the conversation happened before I prepared this verse. Reb Aaron Carmi from Breslov Tzfat came to visit my husband and me for lunch. He's here in town. He is raising money for bomb shelters in Tzfat to strengthen them. They need repairs. Several of them need repairs. They need $100,000. He's raised $25,000 so far. Okay. So he needs $75,000. That was as of yesterday. Hopefully he's raised more since then. If you would like to give, please contact me. I will give you his email and phone number. Okay, it's very important because Tzfat, it's in the north. It's not necessarily a target, thank God, right now. Please God, it will never be. But they have had sirens there, and they need to improve their bomb shelters. They're in terrible disrepair. Okay, the way north is in better repair with that, but of course the people now are displaced. I think it's like tens of thousands. Okay, but he was talking about building programs, and he said that righteous people who are wealthy chase after people in order to support them. At least this is his experience. He was giving me a lecture, and he says that this is how it really should be. And he said something. He said that very often people give because the commitments to Torah are hard for them, but they want to have a partnership with it. This is this whole reason why people have chavrusas, okay? They will have somebody who is a Torah scholar who can learn with them, and the money isn't being paid to them for learning. It's not being paid to them for learning. It's being paid for their time, because technically a person isn't supposed to charge for Torah. They're supposed to charge for their time, their knowledge and time, in order that they don't have to go out and sell shoes. Okay. So he was speaking about this while he was fundraising. Good points. I wanted to share it with you. Also, I would like to say, and this is another thing that we were speaking about in depth, that I really want to get back to doing many more classes and programs. I do need support for this. I'm going to be talking about it more. I want to return to some of my old workshops and old classes that used to have the support. Now that I'm much better, I'm still not 100%, but it's been a couple of years that I was really, cut down with this illness. And please Hashem, it's only going to get better. I'm still recovering, but thank God. And also, there are other ways to support too, and that way is to volunteer. So anybody who wants to volunteer, please volunteer. We really need your help. We're doing exciting things, and we need more volunteers. Okay, let's continue. And then again, we spoke about the daughters before, and we're going to speak about the daughters again as it pertains to tzniut. Okay, 14. Kol kevuda vas melech, penima mimish betsos zahav levusha. Okay, so the complete glory of the king's daughter is within. Her garments, her raiments are superior to settings of gold. So this verse, we were hinted to it before about the daughters of the king, the Benos Malachim, but this verse again is really bringing this idea out that this is referring to us Jewish women, okay? And again, if you go to a talk on tzniut, you're going to hear this, and this means that the treasure of a Jewish woman is within, which is why Jewish woman dresses modestly, okay? Because her value, her glory is internal. It may radiate outwards, but it radiates on her face, okay? And this also these raiments, these settings, when it's referring to these settings, it's referring to the settings that are appropriate to reveal this beauty, this glory, this honor. Neither totally covering up, no burqas for us, please. Okay, no, our faces are very important, but at the same time, not overly displaying the precious gem within. Okay, you've probably heard this before if you've attended a talk on tzniut. So we can get a lot of messages through here, who the daughters of kings are, through this psalm. You know, somebody told me she was speaking to somebody who found it frustrating that there were so many meanings for every verse of Torah, including Tanakh, including Tehillim. And how do you know which one to focus on? Whatever resonates with you, that's how you know something's clicking with you. Pay attention to it. Okay, it's a buffet. Okay, some people are going to go for the salads. Some people are going to go for the hot soups. It's a buffet. Go for what brings you excitement, joy, interest, what attracts you. Don't disregard the other things. You might need that vitamin C in that fresh fruit for dessert. Might need it. Don't disregard it, but take what's delicious to you and use it to strengthen you. Okay. Rebbe Nachman and Reb Nassim speak about this idea of within. Also, this modesty, this glory, this holiness, and they say the center of Judaism is within the home. This is the opposite of virtually every religion on earth. Even some of the religions in, let's say, Korea, Japan, and China, who have altars in their homes, the temple is still the focus of religion, their temples. Our focus is our sacred space at home. Our job as women is we are charged with making sacred space at home. We are charged with making our home a sanctuary. We are even said to have to make our homes a mikdash me'at, okay? A miniature sanctuary, a miniature mikdash, like the Beit HaMikdash, okay? How do we do this? Our home should be clean, should be as attractive as we can afford. Obviously, these are important things. We want to have comfort and calm. We should have order. Rabbi Nachman speaks about order and cleanliness in other places. But the main way is through having Shabbat in our homes, having kashrut in our homes, praying in our homes. For women, it's very important to pray at home, not, during the weekday. We're filling our homes with prayer, saying Tehillim in the home. If you have children at home, giving them things that bring them joy, giving them Torah, give things that bring yourself joy as well. Want a happy home devoted to Hashem. This is the glory within also. Rashi says that those who will serve Mashiach or who serve Hashem do so with modesty, do so within, no matter their wealth. They shun ostentatiousness and seek privacy. These are the retinue of Jewish kings, okay? The nobles, if you will. I have to tell you, I know a few people who fit this bill. They're extremely, extremely well off, but there's no ostentation. It's understated. And yet you can see on their faces, if you don't know them, I'm thinking one person in particular, but it's really a few, who you could see on his face, he's a real Talmid Chacham, his absolute devotion to Hashem and Torah. He spends his days writing checks for tzedakah. He has his own tzedakah as well, an incredible organization. And at the same time, when he's not doing that, he's just sitting and learning Torah. It's quite an amazing, you only find this among Jews. If you knock on his door, you're going to get a check. If you knock on the door in my apartment building, you're going to get at least dollars. Okay. This is part of the glory of what comes from within. Okay. Tzedakah, by the way, that's what I mean. That's what it's related to. Tzedakah and chesed. Okay. We're going to continue. Okay. Okay. Oh, what are we up to? We're up to 15. Okay. Alirkamos tuva lamelech bisulos achareha reoseha muvaos lach. Okay. With embroidered garments, or knitted, I guess it's embroidered, she is brought to the king, and the basulos, the maidens, the virgins in her train, following her are her companions and are led to you. So the maidens are the companions of the daughter of the king. The daughter of the king here, says Rashi, is Israel, the Jewish people, and the Gentiles are the maidens who are going to follow, and they are going to be her companions, her friends. Why? Because they will lose their animosity, their hatred. Okay. When Mashiach comes, or possibly before Mashiach comes, we can see this among certain populations. They will be happy to learn from us and to be our good friends. And we will care for them, of course. Okay. I'll give you another one. The Radak says the maidens or the virgins is a metaphor for the nations who have no knowledge of Hashem and Torah until Mashiach comes. And then they follow his commands and follow the Torah that's appropriate to them. So it's a different take on the same idea. And we see this today. We also see a lot of people in the process of conversion today, more than I think any time in Jewish history. It's stunning to me. It's very beautiful. There's so many gerim. And the idea here that I want to stress is that I see success from people who are going through gerus, who are friends of the Jewish people, who want to join the Jewish people. There are some people who want to be a Jew and be connected with Hashem and his Torah, but they don't have that Ruth quality, that root quality that we have from the story of Ruth, which is, I want to be part of your people. That's the quality that makes them precious, that makes them companions. That has to be there as well. Okay, we're going to continue. I think I'm going to skip a little bit. We'll go to 17, Zion. Tachas avosecha yiyu vanecha tishisemo lisarim bechol haaretz. Okay, succeeding your fathers will be your sons. You shall appoint them as princes throughout the land. Okay, Radak says that Mashiach's sons are going to continue to rule in the monarchy. It's very interesting because we think about Mashiach and we think about the stages of Mashiach and what will happen, but I never thought about that. I never thought about that until I read this. Okay, of course, Mashiach's going to have children, they'll have sons, and they will continue to rule, and you shall appoint them as princes throughout the land. Refers to, says the Metzudas David, that they will rule all over the world, Mashiach's sons. Okay, they will lead the rest of the world. Because the whole world is going to be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. People are going to have to know what to do with that knowledge. Okay, that's why they need Mashiach and his sons. That's why they also need us, the Jewish people. That's why we have to learn as much as we can. Okay, so we can help them. That's what being a light unto the nations is. Okay, let me continue. Go to the last verse. 18. Okay. Az kira shimcha b'chol dor vador. Al kain amin. Yehuducha le'olam va'ed. Okay. I will commemorate your name throughout all generations. Therefore, peoples shall thank you forever and ever. So your name, says Rashi, is referring to Hashem. I will commemorate your name, Hashem. Radak says your name refers to Mashiach. We will commemorate the name of Mashiach. We know Mashiach has one of several names. The Talmud in Pesachim explains the reason why we Jews are exiled. Okay, it's related to this whole psalm and to this verse. So that we should bring Hashem's name to all the regions of the world in order to produce sincere converts. Okay, so it says, throughout the generations, I will commemorate your name. Remember, this is either from Korach's sons and David redacted it, or it's from David. Throughout all generations, we're supposed to be praising Hashem's name, mentioning Hashem's name, talking about Hashem, even saying Baruch Hashem, whatever it is, okay? And the idea is that's why we're in exile. So I want to say there's a discussion. There's a discussion about this. Why don't we proselytize? We look and we see that Avraham Avinu and Sarah proselytized. They invited people, wayfarers, into their tents. They fed them and they talked to them about Hashem. Okay. So what happened? Why did we stop? So we can look through our history. I won't go into too much detail because we're running late, but we can see that it became a source of physical danger to us. Jews have to be careful about proselytizing. We should talk about Hashem. We should praise Hashem for sure. But we don't tell people, hey, wake up, come to Torah, come to Hashem, wake up, wake up. We can't do that. It is a danger. Yet at the same time, if somebody comes to us and sincerely wants to convert, they want a halachic conversion, an Orthodox conversion, they want to be part of Jewish people, we at a certain point, we should encourage them. Now, that's disregarding the Beis Din, the court that's going to turn them away 3 times. That's another section. But if somebody comes to you sincerely, tell them where to go to get help. Tell them which rabbi they can go to learn from. If you have questions, you can always contact me. We are seeing so much of this. It's crazy today, especially among people with Jewish fathers. I have to say there's 2 people right now that I know are undergoing this process. It's quite amazing and beautiful. And it's a sign that Mashiach and the Geula are around the corner. Okay, everyone, I'm going to end this video. Let me see. Stop recording.